Welcome to Point Made, the Centrepoint podcast by young people for all people. I'm Anna, the campaigns officer here at Centrepoint, and I'm joined by my co-host.
I'm Josh, and I am an ex-resident and current apprentice within Centrepoint.
In today's episode, we'll be discussing the experiences of being a young person seeking asylum and some of those challenges that young people may be facing, and we will be talking about how those experiences can be made easier. But before we get into it, I'd love to introduce the panel.
Hello, my name is Josh. I am a Deputy Service Manager in Camden. I've been with Centrepoint for about 8-9 months, and before that I was a support worker. I worked for Single Homeless Project, and I've been working with asylum seekers now for about 4 years.
Hello everybody, my name is Adam. I'm from Ivory Coast. I'm here today to share my experience like a refugee in UK. That's it.
Amazing, thank you so much for being here.
From Joshua and another. If you don't mind me asking you the first question, could you give us an overview of the experience of some of the asylum seekers that and the support that the young people need?
Yeah, no problem. I suppose from my experience anyway, there's a kind of lineage or trajectory to the kind of support that asylum seekers receive, at least in respect to sort of local authority care. And so my experience comes from working with Camden, Islington and Hackney. And generally things start out with a dispute in the age of a young person. The Home Office will find a young person that's arrived in the UK, and they will dispute the age that young person's given, and then the local authority will conduct their own sort of like age assessment and determine if they are going to take that young person under their care. Once they've decided that young person is their stated age, which is usually under the age of 18, we begin working generally with sort of 16 and 17-year-olds, and then it progresses through into sort of early 20s generally. And so in those early days, it's an interesting time, I suppose, in terms of, for us anyway, it involves quite a lot of work that moves quite quickly. So the young person will have their own sort of age assessment with social services. They'll be placed in a supported accommodation, so one of our services. They'll begin to receive like financial support. We'll begin sort of dentist and opticians registrations and registration with the GP. There'll be some like initial healthcare appointments, a health assessment with social services as well. And also we begin to look at that young person's journey with the Home Office, which involves that young person being linked with a solicitor to begin building their case, to submit evidence and to submit a statement. And so early on, it can be quite a testing time for a young person, from my experience, particularly if their understanding of English is quite limited. And over time, that young person builds their understanding of sort of the English language. They get used to the area that they're living in. They know the places of worship. They build sort of communities of friendship groups. If that young person is enrolled in college, they'll begin to develop their understanding of the English language as well, which is probably one of the biggest things. But I suppose that is contained really within that young person's journey with the Home Office. And so one of our biggest challenges in terms of like building and maintaining those relationships is that we can offer support in a wide range of areas, but at the end of the day we don't make that decision. If it was our decision, obviously, but it would be different. But we're starting to see growing numbers of like refusals from the Home Office, which has quite a big impact on the well-being of our young people. There is certainly a kind of re-traumatization that can happen when young people sort of arrive in the UK with some perhaps expectations about what might happen in terms of access to opportunities and safety, and then that image can be changed when there are a lot of delays and barriers that then mean that a young person is perhaps stuck and doesn't have a clear idea of what the future looks like. And that can compound a lot of the work that we're trying to do to address that young person's physical and emotional well-being. Many young people have had a very traumatic and difficult journey to come to the UK. The stories vary, but generally it's a complete kind of uprooting, and in terms of contact with family members and the difficulties in terms of what happened on that journey and how difficult it was to get here, to then be, I suppose, in some ways faced with it's not the same. It is a safe place, but there are a number of challenges and now anyway a kind of fear that there isn't a permanence there, and that a young person could return in some ways to a situation that they thought that they had left, and that young people that are seeking asylum are not cared for or looked after, or that that they're not welcome here, which when you do work with asylum seekers on a daily basis, you know that young people seeking asylum, but young people in general, bring so much wealth of sort of knowledge and experience and maturity and understanding, and have a real desire to learn and contribute and support themselves and the people that they care about. It feels very removed in that way. Sometimes the response on sort of social media or from the government compared to what happens on a day-to-day in services.
Thanks so much for sharing that, Josh. And I think that sheds so much light onto how complicated it is and how, people have experienced trauma. So it's like, what are their experiences then with like facing advocacy and trying to get that support that they need? Adam, I'd love to just come to you and hear a bit more about your story. Are you able to share some experiences of what it was like to come to the UK?
Yeah, I can try, because my story is so long. I don't know where to start. I can say, but I left my country when I was 12 for family problems. My dad took off me to Ghana. There I spent a few months where I was crying every day. I just want to go back, see my mom. But they showed me and told me it was impossible, because the things was happening there. It wasn't good for me to go back. Even for my dad, I was took to Libya, near to my brother who was living there. When I went to the Libya, people get sold like a object or nothing. Like if you arrive in Libya, like the first thing they ask you is like, they will tell you you are lucky because the driver avoid you the death. You need to pay for that. Like is a debt, is a credit you need to pay for. I tell them I don't have money, and they put me to the prison where they put people to torture them to get money from them. Every day they can put knife on the fire, put on your skin. That pain will make you cry or shout. In the same moment they are doing this, like they are the phone, they call your family, they will hear your pain or your shouting. That will make them pay for you. But in my case, I told them I don't have a family anymore, because I was going to meet my brother. Every night they put my leg down in the water, put I don't know, current. There's a current or power to, to electrocute your body. Or they can take a knife, try to cut you on and to just to, make you pay. One night, we got a chance and we escaped. When I leave from there, I was just running. I saw someone. The person was in his car. I told him to stop, and he stopped it. He asked me where I'm from. I told him I don't know. I'm just trying to go to my brother, and he asked me if I know where he live. I say I don't know where he live. He took me and start searching where these foreign people live in that city, and looking for my brother for me. He was a little bit nice. I can say that because because when you are in pain, you don't see kindness much. He searched my brother and took me to him. After 2 or 3 days, I noticed there was fighting in Libya. There was a war. Like we was sleeping on one night. They threw a bomb in our house where we was sleeping, and that explodes. And to protect me, my brother said it wasn't safe to be with him in that place, and he paid to send me in Italy. When I arrived to Italy, I was happy, thinking everything was fine now, and I learned a new things of a word calling racist that I wasn't. And there, like every night, people came with a stone, throw in our place, and told us to leave because they don't want migrants in the city. And one day they hurt one of my friend in that place. That made me very, very scared because the things was going very far. It doesn't matter where I'm going, but I need to just leave. When I leave Italy, I met some people, and he just told me they was going in England. Ask them if they know someone. They say no, it doesn't matter. England is better than in racism way because even them they know what is racism because they experiment in Italy. And they say I say, if it's like this, even me, I'm running from racism. We can just go together. We went to Calais for a few months. Yeah, the place was called Django. I don't think now they have that place anymore. People live in the forest. Every 2 days. The police come and catch you. If they catch you, they bring you to the prison. Then we try every night just to get car to come in the UK. For some people like us, sometimes it became very difficult. But in the COVID time, yeah, people was running about COVID and they don't live more. And in that moment, there was many boats outside. Yeah. And many people take that boat and hide in they dig and put clothes there. One night they can take and just go to the UK. We spent one day on the sea, no eat, no food, no drink, nothing. We were tired. We couldn't move anymore. And we got lucky. we met police border, something like that, and they help us to across to cast it to the UK.
Yeah. Honestly, thank you for sharing. That is a story that is more than precious, and you being here is, I don't have words for it, but it's a humbling experience just to listen to you speak. Yeah, I don't really get caught speechless, but today, in this moment, I just want to say thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having the courage to be here today, and well done for surviving. I don't actually know what else to say beyond that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, I'm sorry about so many of those experiences as well. Now that you are in the UK, what does that look like? Are you applying for asylum, or where are you at now?
Yeah, I applied for asylum, but the problem I got now is a solicitor problem, because after my interview, I got refused and a right to appeal. And after that, I got some news from single authority who told me I was a victim of modern slavery and human trafficking. But before to get that letter, in that moment, my solicitor was just, he told me in the case, if I got refused, I need to appeal. He can't help anymore. That he stopped his contract with me, and after that I got that letter, but I can't do anything anymore because I don't have a solicitor to tell me what to do and what is mean. And the church is here is the only one who is helping for that problem. Yeah.
I suppose I can speak to the work that's been happening with Adam in the last few months, really. Adam received his refusal from the Home Office in November of last year, and subsequently, because of the dwindling availability of legal aid to pay for solicitors, particularly in relation to appeals, it leaves a growing number of young people in a very kind of precarious and difficult situation. Generally, a young person that's newly taken under the care of the local authority, there is far fewer issues having a solicitor to build the case and submit it. So young people, we see many young people go for interviews with the Home Office. Subsequently, we're seeing a growing number of young people that are refused, and at that point, solicitor support stops, or at least it becomes much more difficult to find a solicitor that's willing to take on the case. And so that's really when we talk about sort of limbo and waiting, is that not only does it take a long time for a young person to submit their case and then receive an outcome from the Home Office, a positive decision still takes months, but a negative decision can then lead to months, if not years, of waiting and not knowing what will happen. And so that's particularly why a policy like Rwanda, I suppose, is so visceral and damaging, is that it presents a very clear image to those people that are waiting that this is something that might happen to them. And that is, of course, incredibly traumatic and difficult, and makes it very difficult for services and support workers and social workers to kind of reassure young people that, there's a process to follow and things will be all right. So it creates a situation where Adam and I don't necessarily know what's going to happen next. We just have to do the thing that's in front of us, seek some advice. Adam had an exam this morning, a GCSE exam, which meant that he was unable to attend one of the advice clinics that the CP Legal team do a really good job of facilitating. But it's sort of, we're looking at June now for Adam to speak to an advisor that he spoke to in sort of November and December, but to really clarify his position and offer some reassurance there. It's a sorely needed kind of service, but really what's needed is to address the sort of backlog of asylum claims and ensure that there's solicitors available to pick up those cases and support young people with their cases, particularly because, as Adam mentioned, after being refused by the Home Office, he received a positive national referral mechanism outcome, which I think is, as someone who's not a lawyer but has looked at these sorts of cases and paperwork and worked with asylum seekers, it's obviously a horrendous recognition that something has happened in that young person's life, but in the same way it helps his case in terms of hopefully in the not too distant future being recognised as someone that is entitled to live here and claim asylum and build a life here.
Yeah, Josh, you mentioned about Adam having a positive outcome for a national referral mechanism, but then also a refusal of his asylum seeking process. Could you just explain the difference between those two things?
Yeah, so not all young people that make an asylum claim will necessarily have a national referral mechanism. The NRM is to determine if a young person has been a victim of trafficking and modern slavery. The extent to which a positive or negative NRM decision impacts on a Home Office claim is not something that I have a lot of experience with. It's more sort of solicitors that would be able to tell you the extent to which, if you're determined to be a victim of modern slavery, the impact that would have on an asylum case. But generally, I would think it's a positive thing if the Home Office are scrutinising a young person's case or their reasons for coming to the UK. If that mechanism is used to prove that young person has been a victim of modern slavery, that has a positive impact. But in some cases, at least in Adam's case, he received that decision after his refusal by the Home Office. And so now, without a solicitor, what you're really looking for is a professional to take on that case and see that there's been changes in his circumstances, and to be able to recognise in the reasoning that was given by the Home Office that there's a fault there and that a mistake has been made. And so that's really where the kind of challenge comes from, is that for us we can see that there is ample evidence and reasoning behind Adam's case and claim to be in the UK, and yet he is stuck in a system that is not moving forward, and he doesn't have a professional to represent his case. And so that's probably the most difficult and challenging aspect of it, is that you can recognise quite clearly the fallacy there, or the kind of injustice.
Yeah, thank you for explaining that.
I just wanted to get an understanding from your perspective as a key worker, as someone that supports people in refuge, and from your perspective as someone that's going through it, to just hopefully give the audience a clear understanding from both sides, how it feels and how it affects you as well.
Well, I would say that it is, from my perspective anyway, hugely frustrating in terms of building relationships with young people. The foundation of the work that we do really is those relationships. When there are aspects to that relationship or that young person's reality that are completely out of your control and that you have no input over, and that your teams don't have any input over, and your service doesn't have an impact over, and the organisation that you work for doesn't have an impact over, and the local authority. And so we have a remit of support, and it goes so far. I think it's important to recognise there is a tremendous amount of resilience and hope among teams and young people that are undergoing this process, because you have to. There's no real other option. You have to be able to focus on the next step. What can we do while so much is out of our control? There has to be a way to claw back a sense of dignity and kind of and justice that recognises and is true to what that young person's been through and the support that you say that you provide, you know. And so early on in that young person's journey, there's generally more hope initially, and I think over time, particularly if there's a refusal, we do a lot of work around kind of managing expectations and not making any promises about the future, but being able to say that while we can't do this, we can still do this. And so the whole idea, I suppose, of that limbo period is that you'll begin to see, over time, growing sort of mental health needs, access to therapeutic support is quite limited, access to interpreter services and sort of the logistics of maintaining that young person's physical and mental well-being. You're looking at sort of college, issues with college perhaps. That young person needs to be able to do something and engage in meaningful activity, but over time, without a positive decision from the Home Office, you can often see young people moving into sort of precarious or unpaid work. It might heighten issues around trauma or substance misuse, and so the relationship becomes under strain when there hasn't been that decision or that relief that says you are allowed to be here and you can build your life here, you can get a job, you can study and do what you want. And so for me, I think that's one of the biggest things is being really patient, but also recognizing or not downplaying the reality. You have to acknowledge the reality of that young person's situation and say, this is not good and this is not fun for anybody. And at the same time being able to think about what you do within that.
Honestly, thank you for sharing that from that perspective. Adam, would you be alright with sharing from yours? For example, right now you're in limbo you're waiting for results. How does that make you feel? And what does it make you want to be able to do?
It's not easy, you know. Sometimes you don't want to just leave your bed, you want to stay asleep and doing nothing. You never know, maybe it will be positive in the future, and saying I left everything for that, I will lost. If I think that way, I can get up and go into the college doing what I like to do more. But anytime when I think about the frustration from home office, you know, because you can just stay and never know. They can say maybe tomorrow we will deport you. You know, never know. It's just your head. You told with yourself. It's like you know, you create your own self talk with that. And I said, you need to stop everything, say, not doing anything, just stay and wait for the decision. In French, we say bon débarras.
Yeah.
It means like no choice. You know?
It is what it is.
Yeah,
In a polite way to say
yeah.
it.
No choice.
In the polite way to say
Yeah,
it.
it's something is not easy to say. What do you think properly, because it's traumatic things. You know, it's very traumatic. You know, sometimes you don't want to do anything. You don't know why you are angry. Like people cannot try to be kind of you, but your heart is burning and your body is burning. Like they put fire on you, like you burn. You know, you don't know why. It's something very, 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 very difficult to
I
carry.
understand that.
Yeah.
Different people have different terms for it.
Yeah.
I guess a Caribbean term would be hot school. When you're just boiling up inside and you can't always put your finger on why.
Yeah.
You don't have the words to describe it, but you know you can feel something more than what you should.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Sometimes I can just go to the college, not talk to anybody. Like I stay there, but I'm not there. Like presently, you can see me, but I'm not physically.
Yeah,
you know, mentally, I'm not. You know, I'm not there. It's a trauma. You understand? It's a trauma. It's something came like that. You don't know where it came from, but you are safe. But you have that thing in your mind. Who told you? You know, you are not really safe. You know, if you don't know your final decision, you are not really safe.
Right. You feel more safe when you have your own power, when you can control your own fate.
Yeah.
But when you're waiting on others to make a decision in your life.
Yeah. Friends thing that control your mood. It can make you very nervous.
Like having that mindset and knowing that as just a speech on a letter, words on a paper can alter your life, and not only your life but your mindset as well, to your determination to survive, your determination to do better, your determination to even value people. And I think that is something where you may not get commended for it, but you are a strong person.
Adam, what would you say were ways or things that did help you during your journey?
To be honest, me, I don't have much problem in the UK. The problem is the decision. It's the only things who disturb me in the UK. I can say is the only one, because here I can say I got a lot of support. In the beginning, like when I came here, my English was bad. When they give me a lawyer, he explain me about the refuse things, you know, I don't know. And like that, I signed something, I don't know what he was saying, you know. And normally if I got someone in that time to say, look, if you get refused, that means you will not get someone to help you later. You will be, you know, you will be alone in that case. You know, if someone came and asked me for advice, like what I experienced, I experimented, I will tell him the bad thing I experimented is a lawyer thing. If you know you have an opportunity to get a good lawyer who will accept your case, even they give you refuse, that is good. That is very good. Because when I came here, I was going Red Cross, and that time they told me if I want a lawyer, that means I could change a lawyer if I wanted. They could do that things for me. Like they could change my lawyer. But, I was, I don't know anything. I say, no, I have a lawyer. They say, do you have everything? I say, yeah. But, and this happened, I understand now, many lawyers doesn't like doing appeal case. They don't like it. Like take the case of someone in the middle. They don't like that. I can say being UK is a happy thing for us. But if you have a lawyer problem, that is another problem. Even the lawyer will tell you it's not easy. Yeah, something. Yeah.
I think there's something certainly there about the kind of continuity of support for someone's journey over a period of years, and having that consistent kind of voice, and for things to be explained at every stage in a way that is clear and makes sense. We lack that quite a lot, having consistency. People pick up the story at different points, and there's a lot of disconnect a lot of the time. If a young person moves or the support worker leaves, change of management, clawing together a kind of picture of support. And that's so difficult when things are moving at such a pace, and that you're supporting multiple services or several young people that are also dealing with similar things, to be able to dip in and dip out. Having that sort of voice or that guide throughout that process, I think, is so important. And that's, again, something that's sort of missed, I think, just in terms of being able to reassure when there is a decision that is completely out of your hands. And so, yeah, again, that would be something around just a level of communication and guidance that's offered.
Well, as someone that, normally doesn't get caught off guard and normally has something to say, this one has kept me in suspense of what to hear next, and has been a very intense one for me to listen to, but it's been an honour to be able to listen to it at the same time. And I just want to know, what, in your position, in your job, in your fulfilling your duties, what is the happiest thing that can bring you the biggest smile in your role?
Oh, that's a difficult question. There's so much about this job that brings you joy and happiness and hope for the future. I think because in many ways there's an absence of it, it forces you to be very attentive and sensitive to the positive things that happen, those small gestures. Working with young people is such an enlightening experience. You learn so much from different cultures and perspectives, and then it goes down to small things like gestures of goodwill and good intent. You could sit in a corner and have a good cry for a long time about a lot of these things, but in the day-to-day, there's just moments of sort of joy and happiness in that. And it goes down to sharing experiences, going to appointments together, college enrollments, travelling a long way to see a solicitor in some cases, or having shared meals, celebrating like religious events. When I was a support worker, I remember so well, like distinctly, on like an evening late shift, like a weekend late shift on a Saturday, like young people would be cooking a meal together, and I remember having like boiled chicken and rice that is like so beautifully fragrant and soft, and has been created with so much love and care that it moves you so much. A simple thing like that, like a young person that doesn't have a lot of money, week to week, coming to you and saying, here's a can of Coke and a plate of food, thank you for what you've done for me, and then that being shared and being together in that is something that is hard to let go of and keeps you going for sure. But I think that's perhaps easy for me to say because I'm in a position of it's separate. It's not my daily life in that way. And so I'm so immensely privileged to be like a part of it.
But it's people like you that need to be here and are needed by residents, by asylum seekers, by those in need. You fulfil that duty.
Yeah, that was really beautiful. Thank you. For you, Adam, what are you looking forward to in the future? What is making you feel hopeful?
For the future, first of all, I can't say much because I'm waiting for something I didn't get yet. But if I get it, I would like first to study. So I have two things I would like to be. The first of all is study medicine. If I get the chance, maybe be GP. I don't know. Second one is if I see I'm not too good in medicine, I will try in engineering. Yeah, that is what I'm thinking in the future. What I'm thinking for the future.
My dad is actually a GP, so I'd be interested what inspired you to want to do that role.
When I was coming in the UK, most of us we were sick, and there was people sometimes call they call them in French name Médecins Sans Frontières. Yeah.
Yeah, I know them.
Yeah, they came many times to help us, give us medicine, they bring food. You know, those kind of people, you can never forget them, because in that time, in my case, I wasn't looking myself like a human, because he couldn't look at me with 2 eyes, trust me, because most of the time I was dirty, very, very dirty. I was always with the same dress because we don't have much, understand? Same shoes, same dress. You know, if you see the hair, you know, he couldn't approach us. But those people, there was many times they were there with us, they brought food, you know, medicine, and they were so much helpful for us. They gave me, you know, that feeling to be like them, help someone who need one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's so incredible as well, when it's like someone that's made such a big impact for you, like, and then you want to give back as well after everything you've been through. You know, it really does show, how important like your story is, but also like, I guess like that ambition to also help others, despite, you could very much just be like, I want to sort out my own life and like make sure I've got a good life, but you still want to give back, which I just think shows your character so much. Yeah. So thank you so much for everything that you've shared. And it was a really powerful and very honest story. So as Josh said, just so privileged to be able to like hear it. And I really hope that this can be the start of more change, of realising, when the government's making decisions about refugees and asylum seeking, actually it's like your story and other people's stories that needs to be at the forefront, and kind of really respecting and honouring and caring.
Thank you.
No, honestly, and I agree. Thank you both for being here today. Thank you for sharing. And it's been a privilege and an honour to have met you both, genuinely speaking.
Thank you. It's
Thank you.
Nice to be able to share, and we don't get a lot of opportunities, I suppose, to advocate and speak about our day-to-day in that way. So I hope that it's a conversation that provides some reassurance to other people that are experiencing similar, or helps to enlighten other people that may not know what it's like.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Well, in terms of anyone listening, watching, you've been enlightened to the reality of people's lives and what it really takes to be a strong survivor, and what it really means to be an asylum seeker and a refugee, and those who want to help and the struggle that they're going through. So if you have watched this and you have enjoyed or found this podcast very informative, please do like, subscribe and share, and make sure the message keeps going forward. But until the next time, thank you.